Hey everyone, welcome again to another podcast of Byte Ventures. Here we have Gregor, who is a great person. He's running an amazing newsletter called the Leadership Newsletters, and he has been a CTO at Zorion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he has joined all the way from Slovenia. So thank you, Gregor, for joining in, and I really appreciate you. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks a lot for having me here. My name is Gregor. I am the CTO at Zorion. I have over 10 years experience both as an engineer and also engineering leader. And I write a newsletter. It's called Engineering Leadership. I want to help as many people to become great engineering leaders. And I'm also a course instructor, which is also helping engineers to become great leaders.
Yeah.
And I post daily on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, he is pretty active on LinkedIn. We'll talk about that. So let's talk about one thing. When I was searching for you or your profile, everywhere it is like leadership, engineering leader, becoming a better leader. So if someone comes to you and asks you what exactly is a leader, what do you say out to them?
Being a leader is not being perfect, right? You need to show your mistakes as well, right? You need to be authentic yourself. That's what people like to see, right? And you want to do things that you want others to do to you. You want to be a person that is going to be a great person to work with. That's the first thing. And you want to uplift and you want to empower others. You want to
Hmm.
grow others around you. You want to make sure others around you are getting better. That's kind of that for me is a sign of a leader. And a leader can be everyone, can be anyone. You don't need a title to be a leader. You can be a junior engineer and you can be a leader by making others around you better, asking the right questions, challenging requirements and stuff like that. It's a mindset. It's not a title.
Awesome, great answer. I was like, yeah, I'm blown because everyone, when thinks of being a leader, they tag it somehow to being a little bit higher on the career leadership, right? So, like, okay, I'm senior software engineer, I'm staff software engineer, then I'm a leader. No one thinks of that as a junior engineer, but still I can be a leader. I can still make a lot of impact and all that stuff. It's great coming from you. Okay, so let's take a step back and talk about your engineering leadership newsletter. What was the motivation? Why did you start it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And when I first grew from a senior software engineer, by the way, I was kind of feeling stuck, and I didn't know exactly what was the right next path for me. But I got offered a team lead position, and then I became a team lead, and then basically my world turned upside down because what made me a great engineer didn't make me a great team lead. So I needed to learn a lot of stuff myself, and back in the day there wasn't like a lot of resources in order to do that. I read a couple of books, but they were more like a management specific, and some of like a lot of them were engineering specific. So there wasn't like a lot of like engineering leadership specific. So I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't know how to do my job in a best way possible, and at the time I also almost burned out because I tried to do everything myself. I tried to be the best engineer. I tried to be a good manager. I tried to talk with all the stakeholders. I tried to create finish the most tasks in the team as well. And it didn't go as planned. So after many mistakes and also some wins, I started to get a hang of the role. But my motivation behind the newsletter is trying to help as many people, to not be in a place like I was, to get resources that would
Mhm.
help them to be great leaders and can make like a good transition from engineer to leader without, hopefully having making less mistakes than I did.
I think your newsletter pretty amazing, and when it comes from your real experience, it kind of adds that a lot of value where uh, people are currently in a one level and they want to like grow to another level. And when it comes from direct experience, that matters a lot to the people. So great job on that, I would say. Okay, coming back, let's move back to your software engineer journey. You started as a software engineer, moved up the ladders to become a CTO at Zorion. So I think Zorion is a fintech company managing finances and all stuff. So how was your role? What exactly you do at Zorion? If you like go in a little bit detail about that.
Yeah, sure. So my role as a CTO, I'm basically managing everything that is technical, everything in our technology department. And my role is a combination of a lot of different hats, and that may be aligning technology with the business. That is making sure that we are building the right things, making sure that we are providing value to the
Hmm.
business every single sprint, making sure our technical strategy is correct. I'm also, having a separate manager and maker time. As a manager, I'm focusing on all of the stuff that I mentioned before. And as a maker time, I'm focusing on project, proof of concept, making sure that we are, building the things correctly, reviewing PRs, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a mix of being a manager, engineer at the same time, and making sure that we are doing great as a company. That's one of my goals as a CTO.
Awesome. You talk about a very interesting point, which is manager versus maker, right? I think it's a topic that I've read it somewhere. Like if you need to like manage your time well, you need to have that manager versus maker schedule. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah, it's one of the really most important, let's call it, time management specific things that you can do. Because once you become a manager, you need to separate time for meetings and separate time where you can be interrupted, right? But you also need a separate time where you can focus on specific things. If you don't have that, it's going to be hard for you to do good things long term, right? So what I do is I block specific times on my calendar. Okay, those are the times for the meetings, and I try to combine as much as like meetings that are similar together, like having one-to-ones with my team. They're all on the same day, and then I block focus time for myself to be able to think strategy, create certain process documents, create certain technical documents that we need, create certain things like proof of concept, work on certain projects, stuff like that. That's extremely crucial. Without it, it's hard to manage things
Yeah.
long term.
Yeah, I think the schedule gets crazy once you go up the ladder, right? Like because you are a single person with that 8 to 10 hours of working time, and then you start to have a whole new team to yourself, managing different projects, like providing navigation to different projects and all stuff. It kind of gets very challenging. So I've been reading this book recently called Indistractable by Nirayal. I don't know
Mhm.
if I know about it, but it talks a lot about how do I focusly work on certain things, time box it, and it's pretty interesting. So I'll write a blog about it as well. That's upcoming. So cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
multitasking is something that is unavoidable. As the more you grow, the more like more things come to you, and but more multitasking is something that I really advise against doing it, right? I see like I get a lot of energy drain if I'm trying to do multitasking, but
Hmm.
focus just on one thing at a time is crucial. It's amazing, and what I suggest is Pomodoro timer is
Yeah.
really amazing thing. Pomodoro timer, and 25 minutes just focus on this one specific thing. You can't do anything else. That's crucial.
Yeah. Awesome. So okay, coming back to Pomodoro timer, like, do you work remote or do you go to the office?
Yeah, I work fully remotely.
Okay. Okay. So that means when you have the Pomodoro timer on, no one can bump onto your desk and like, okay, hey Gregor, oh, how do you solve this problem? Okay, that's an interesting part of the remote side. But I think sometimes when you're in office, if you're still in the middle of something, there might be some junior engineer who might be reaching out to you and coming directly to your desk, right? And you can avoid that. Being a junior engineer, that's an advantage of being in office because you can like reach to the different people. But
Yeah,
I think once you go become senior, it kind of becomes a challenge that okay, now you need to like adhere to all these ad hoc tasks that come along. But I think that's
yeah,
a
yeah,
smart
and
play.
and, and and also I suggest for to junior engineers to be able to get a role that is in the office, right? It's a cheat code, to be honest, to grow, because you can just bump to like a senior, or like another software engineer, and you can solve things together. It's a little bit harder to do this remotely. It's possible, but you need a lot more kind of like you need to be a lot more persuasive, let's call it persuasive, and also people skills needs to be pretty good. You need to find ways to do that and provide the value yourself, right? Because it's different. People can just either ignore it if you don't approach it the right way. People will,
Yeah.
will ignore it, but if you come to like someone's desk, they can't ignore you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes when I join a new company, I always prefer in-person onboarding because that makes my life a lot easier because you get to build that whole connections. Otherwise, you'll just wait on the Slack, like, okay, what's next? Why this people is not replying to me and all stuff. Cool. There was one interesting thing about your profile when I was viewing it, where as a leader, you have taken a lot of hiring decisions and you have grown a lot of people. So, what are some of the important cultural decisions that a person should have to become a good software engineer? Like the things that cannot be trained, but should be there to some extent inherently.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question, and those are also qualities that I look for in engineers that I kind of like value the potential in specific engineers, and those values also are very important to grow to like get promoted to specific roles, like being a team lead, being a engineering manager, or maybe growing to senior or staff software engineer. You can't be a great engineer without taking ownership and responsibility. Without it, it's really hard because especially in a remote work, if you're working remotely, you need to be self-accountable. You need to be a self-starter. You need to take ownership of specific thing, and you take care of it, right? You communicate everything that is needed. You talk with everyone that needs to be talked to in order for you to find out what are the correct requirements, what are the right requirements, and then you start working on it, right? That's something if you have that, I really love to see that because also like as a manager, right? I really look for people that I can assign a certain responsibility, a certain task, and I just know they will take care of it. And if I can get that confidence in a specific person, then I just know that person is going to get stuff done, and I can rely on them. So they're also going to be the ones that are going to be first promoted. I would also say, learning mindset, being a person that is always learning new things. That's very important in our industry. It's not about what you know right now, but what can you know in specific time frame, how fast you can learn specific thing, and also how fast you can find something. You don't need to know like specific functions or specific how to say, specific ways to do something, but you need to know how to find it. And if you can do that, it's you're in a good way. And I would say the third thing that is very important, I look for that in hiring and also in engineers to promote to like new roles, is being a team player and making others around them better. That's very important to me because you shouldn't be just focusing on your own specific task, but you focus on how you can make your team better, how you can make others around you better, how you can help others to grow. Because if you grow, like if you get better at coding by 20%, you provide 20% more value. But if you help like 5 to 10 people to be 20% better, then you're delivering a lot more value to the business. So people that naturally are prone towards helping others and being a great team players, those are the ones that I'm really looking forward to hire.
Awesome. I think that's very interesting. Like, especially being enabler, I have been hearing this that once you grow to a senior engineer, it's very limited that you can do by yourself, right? And you need to like
Yeah.
enable other people across your team to have that higher impact. Because at certain point, you need to have more higher impact, add more value to the team, apart from your individual self. And that advice is like the bang on. Awesome. Coming back, so you have newsletter and you run a course on Maven from senior engineer to lead, right? Senior to lead engineer, something like that. So, what is the difference between these two things? How did you decide to go for Maven, and what exactly you focus on in your course?
Yeah, it's called senior engineer to lead, grow, and thrive in the role. So yeah, the motivation is very similar than writing a newsletter. It's how I can help engineers to be able to transition to a lead role, very in a very kind of seamless kind of way
Hmm.
that they would not struggle with the transition. I share a lot of mistakes and a lot of things that I did wrong. So hopefully my students can avoid some of them. And yeah, and we had our first cohort in July, and I really enjoyed it. There were so many great questions from my students, very interactive. Trying to we went through a lot of specific cases of my students and wanting to find details on how we can what we can do to get ahead in those cases. So yeah, it's more or less like a very interactive on like a not like a one-to-one session, but it can be like very similar towards one-to-one sessions because we have specific time. Like I also have a specific time for questions and answers after every session. But also anytime can someone interrupt me when I'm presenting a certain topic, and we can discuss more details. But yeah, we go through everything from which specific career paths are available, and also my recommendations on which specific career path may be the right path for your specific personality. And then we go through all of the specific things that you should be doing to optimize your chances to grow towards a lead role. That can be staff engineer, team lead, tech lead, or engineering manager.
Hmm.
And then we talk about how to thrive in such role. We go through all of different things like how to hold one-to-one meetings, how to manage your time, how to give feedback, how to make decisions, and all of that great stuff. And yeah, the difference is basically engineering leadership newsletter is broad on many different fields and many different things. But here we are specifically focusing on how to grow and thrive as an engineering leader.
Awesome. That is great. I think huge congratulations for that. Starting out in July, I think second or third cohort this will be, but I think you'll be doing great because you have tons of experience on that side, and you have had a lot of people grown from senior to lead under you. So very apt role. Okay, awesome. Coming back, we'll take a little bit casual question. So let's move back to a little bit about your place called Slovenia, right? So how are things in Slovenia, and especially on the tech side? How are the companies? What kind of companies come up more? What is the tech culture? How is it different from other parts of the world?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, I started my career working here in Slovenia, and if I wouldn't be working on site for it was a quite small company. We had around um, 10 to 15 people in a company, and if I wouldn't be starting on site, I probably wouldn't grow so fast as I did and learn so much as I did in such short amount of period. But yeah, I was basically doing a lot of stuff. You know, I was doing programming front and back end. I was doing also designing. I was also doing project management. At the same time, I was kind of like a person that is that wore like so many hats, and I kind of enjoy doing that. You know, I kind of consider myself a good generalist, and I kind of see myself doing many things, not just one specific thing, like being an expert just in one specific thing and just doing that. And that, I mean, this sums up like also a lot of companies here in Slovenia. There's a lot of like smaller companies here in Slovenia, like a Slovenian companies. But that, they're not like as big as like, for example, that are in United States. So mostly what you can acquire here is a broad knowledge on various of different things because you can take as much ownership and responsibility as you want to, right? Obviously, there are a lot of people here in the tech industry are working in for foreign companies like I do the same. A
Hmm.
lot of people work for United States companies remotely. So I would say a lot of people work remotely. I think I would say even more than actually on site. So yeah, mostly remote culture in the tech industry
Hmm.
in Slovenia. But also, some people also like to be working on site, and that's also a great thing to do. If you like to do that, I definitely I wouldn't be where I am without my first experiences in Slovenian company.
So does Slovenia focus on something specific, like Denmark focuses a lot on the clean energy environment and all stuff.
Mhm.
So Slovenia does have any specific niche where it focuses especially on the technology side, or is it generic?
I don't think so. We mostly, if we have like a specific tech department, we have a foreign company that has like a specific department in Slovenia. For example, maybe there's a Slovenian team that works
Hmm.
for like a German company or something like that, and there's like a headquarter, you need to have a company in Slovenia in order to hire people that are
Okay.
on site in Slovenia. So potentially, like a foreign company comes here and they create that kind of like a headquarters, let's call it headquarters, and then people
Right.
work here. We do have like pretty good in pharmacy. We are pretty good in pharmacy, but I wouldn't say that that's kind of like our focus. I can't think of like any specific focus right now, but yeah, pharmacy comes to my mind. We do have a lot of pharmacy specific companies here.
Awesome. Okay, let's move back a little bit to your writing journey. So uh, as a full-time CTO, you have a lot of hats already, and you said you're good at managing a lot of things than being a specific specialist about a certain thing. How do you manage your time? And if you can share a little bit tricks and tips about what makes you a better person, better CTO, better engineer, it'll help the audience.
Yeah, it all starts with having a good routine, right? I always like to say, you can't be doing good stuff and you can't help others if you don't feel good yourself, right? So the first thing what you want to do is make sure that obviously your personal life is good, is on a good level, and then you need to be focusing also on your personal health and well-being at the same time. So um, I try to do exercise as frequent as possible. That's kind of like a number one prerequisite, and that's mandatory for me. And what's also mandatory for me is daily goals and weekly goals. So one of the daily goals is to post on LinkedIn. A weekly goal, for example, is to post a newsletter, to send out a newsletter. So I always send it out on Sunday, and I don't go to sleep until I send it out on Sunday. So that's
Okay.
kind of my commitment, right? I don't have perfect timings, and I don't believe in perfect timings because I try to make everything like, okay, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be publish a LinkedIn post. At 13 o'clock, I'm going to be sending out a newsletter. At 14 o'clock, I'm going to do this. 15 o'clock, I'm going to do this. But this doesn't work. And not for me. Maybe for some people it does. But for me, it's more about, okay, if I can do something right now, I'm not going to feel bad about it, but I'm still going to do it later. And as long as I have all of my daily goals that are met, I'm more than happy about it. So that's also what I think what actually enables me to be doing things consistently
Hmm.
is to not like feel bad about if I'm not doing something in the morning. I can still do it either after lunch or in the evening, and that can be like a LinkedIn post or sending a newsletter as well, or doing a certain task or doing something or having a one-to-one meeting or having another certain meeting and so on. That's really the key for me, I would say, and that's kind of like a recipe that got me to post on LinkedIn for more than a year, every day. So I now post
Yeah.
every day for more than a year, and also for almost 2 years, every Sunday. My newsletter has been sent out for almost 2 years every Sunday. So yeah,
That's
I'll keep
amazing.
that going. I'll keep that going. It's I like seeing consistency build up over time, and yeah, I always say, going doing good things but not try to be perfect is a lot better. Sorry, doing good things for a long run and try not to be perfect is a lot better than trying to be perfect and just doing it for a certain period of time.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. I think, yeah, I think consistency plays off, and once you get into that habit of like pushing out every Sunday, then it kinds of like an intrinsic motivation that okay, I cannot miss it because I have maintained the consistency, and that keeps you going forever, and that's a virtuous cycle that helps you out of that. Awesome. Um, okay, so how do you decide what to write on?
Yeah, so I currently have more than 1,000 ideas in my Notion workspace, and I've wrote about this process in one of my articles, and I don't think I'm gonna ever uh, run out of ideas. There's a lot of ideas. I get inspiration from my daily work. I get inspiration from reading content online. I get inspiration from LinkedIn, other newsletters. Having conversations like we're having at the moment with other professionals. So anytime I get an idea, I just put it in my Notion workspace. I create a separate page, and I put in my thoughts in there. And every time I decide on what's something that's going to be new, I pick up something from the idea, and I start creating a draft. So yeah, but I look for a lot of things. What's something relevant right now? Maybe what's something relevant that my readers wants to read.
Hmm.
If I see something that a certain that's like more people have requested a certain topic, then I will for sure write about it. Or potentially, I also write as I mentioned, the motivation was how to provide resources for people like myself that was
Right.
struggling in a leadership role. So I think about, okay, what would I like to read about if I would be starting as an engineering leader and I wouldn't have any resources, and that always works.
That's great. Like 1,000 different ideas. I was like, I'm blown by it. So you have content for like next 5, 10 years or something. But yeah,
Yeah, for
very
sure.
interesting. Okay, coming back to the last point, and very interesting question. So if you have any suggestions for people to grow in their career, I know I've written about it a lot in your newsletter, in your Maven course, but if I want to summarize a couple of them, very important ones, I would like them for you to do it right now.
Sure, sure. Be a team player. That's very important in our industry. Don't just focus on your own individual task. Like focus, spread your horizon a little bit, more broad, and look for like a impact in team specific level and organization specific level. That's gonna really help you to grow in your career.
Mhm.
Take ownership, responsibility. That's very important. Be proactive. I always like to see proactive engineers. You know, they find problems themselves and they propose solutions, they propose suggestions. Those are the ones that get promoted first. Be a great person to work with. That's very underrated. Don't focus just on technical skills, but you know, be a person that you would like others to be like a person that you would like to work with. That's very important. And just over, have fun. Make sure you focus also on good how to say good balance, work-life balance. That's very important. If you're just going to be working 24/7, you won't be able to do this long on the long run because it's not going to be like a you won't have like a you won't feel how to say you won't feel happy if you're just always working 24/7. You need to balance it. Obviously, everyone is different, and work-life balance is for everyone is different, and you need to find a way that works for yourself. But to think of ways to make yourself a fun way to do things. That's very important. But yeah, make sure you also don't kind of like avoid mistakes, make mistakes and fix mistakes fast as well, and learn from them as well. Especially for junior engineers, you need to make as many mistakes possible. And you need to learn from them because if you don't make mistakes, you would spend more time actually leveling up and learning things. That was one of my problems because I was just too afraid to make mistakes, and I think I would be learning a lot faster if I would be doing that.
Awesome. I think that's great advice. And the one thing that I'll keep is make mistakes and make them faster because that's how you learn. And thank you so much, Gregor, for your time joining all the way from Slovenia. And I had this amazing opportunity, and I hope that we'll chat again in the future with the different topics, what exactly you do, and we'll delve into that. But that's for another podcast. But for now, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.